Today is Wednesday, November 7th, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor David vs. Goliath, Episode 7.
I like our intro music, Ready to Merge.
I like it too. Good job, baby.
Yep, I'm going to give all the credit to the AI, the artificial intelligence that mapped most of it out. I just selected the ingredients. It cooked the dish.
Okay.
Yep.
Either way, good job, baby.
All right. Wow. Good job. What an episode, huh? Previously on Survivor, over at Tiva, the men have banded together. And the women, too. At Vuku, the alliances have fallen apart and tensions are high. At Jabini, Probst tells us it's the Rockstar Alliance that held all the power. At Tribal Council, Nick and Mike sent Lyrsa home. 13 enter, only one can be the winner. Here we go. It's on.
Who was it that said, was it Alec that said the title this week?
Yes.
There's going to be
right.
tears shed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, that's who I thought it was.
Yep. Okay, we're at the Tiva camp on the morning of day 18. It's a delightful morning. Coffee is brewing. The sun is shining. And here come some boats with people ready to merge. So they're merging at Tiva Beach. I was surprised.
I think probably everyone was. They don't, usually that's
merge at the third
beach.
Yeah, the third camp beach. Yeah. So we got a little banjo music and some boats rolling in and we're good to go. Vuku and Jabini arrive. Hugs and hugs. Alison gets a confessional. Carl gets a confessional. Alison tells us the game starts now. Okay, thank you, Alison. And Carl, well, he's just ready to get rid of Elizabeth and he's ready to drink
and
a beer.
He wants a beer.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about much else.
Yeah.
And,
wow, what a merge feast. That was quite the layout, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked pretty good. I didn't really get to, see exactly what everything was, but...
I like John's comment. He's like, he had measured the table and he had decided there's about 100,000 calories here. He's ready to get some of his gains that he had lost back. So, and he's ready to stay Goliath strong, he tells us.
They had beer and wine. I noticed Carl was...
time to mix them, because that's always a good thing. Yeah. Yep, Alec, he popped a brewski and announced it, and Carl just appeared by his side. He's like, yeah, I'll have some of that, Alec. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. And I could even have my own bottle of wine. He was drinking out of the bottle, so I guess
I thought
they didn't have anything else to drink.
I thought Gabby was onto something. She was aware. She was looking for a clue, looking for an advantage. I thought for sure they were leading to a discovery.
I know, and they kept focusing on that sign.
Well, they went back to it. You have everything that you need for the merge, and she even talks about it, but evidently she didn't go look at it. So when the camera cuts back to something like that, when they're talking about advantages, the camera's saying, hey, right here, look here. This is where you need to look.
Yeah, but it wasn't
not for them.
Yeah, it wasn't anything obvious that you could see there was a clue, but I sure would have wanted to look at that a lot more closely before I left there.
I bet you someone will at some point. I think that's what the camera was telling us. Eventually, someone's going to look at the back of that paper.
If they kept it.
Or maybe someone will go to break up the board or use it for a cutting board or something, and they'll go to tear that off and go, whoop, what is that?
Hey, look what I found. Well, it should be Gabby because she's thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay. And Angelina...
learns a critical piece of information, courtesy of Carl,
huh? That Alec turned on Natalia.
Yes.
And she...
immediately shared it with Alison. And then with John, so the word got around pretty quick. Carl was happy to spread the news.
So don't trust him. We'll keep him in our alliance because we need him, but don't trust him.
Tread lightly with Alec, she says. Okay, what'd you think of the new tribe name that Elizabeth had supposedly Googled?
It was fine.
KaloKalo?
KaloKalo.
Something like that.
KaloKalo, I think. KaloKalo.
Coca-Cola. That's what I heard.
K-A-L-O.
It means stars. Evidently in Fiji, when you have a Coca-Cola, that actually means stars. So that makes sense.
KaloKalo.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it wasn't a bad name, as the names go.
Carl didn't care for it. He told Dan, she's so annoying. She's done everything you ever mentioned, but 10 times better.
Well, Carl was telling everyone. He was telling anybody that would listen to him. He is throwing her under the bus.
There's your mastermind.
Fast as he can.
Everyone thought it was going to be Angelina being a mastermind, self-declared, no less.
Well,
but your real mastermind's Carl, after a beer or two.
Yeah. Dan tells us Carl's drunk.
Yes. And he's okay with that.
Well, yeah.
That works for me, Dan says. Yeah.
Yeah, and we thought Dan was, right in the groove, right up until he went off with Miss Kara, gave her a hug, and immediately regurgitated, got an idol.
So it was just seconds after the physical contact that I found my second idol was delivered. We were guesstimating how long it would take in the listener feedback show last week. So
Dan. Well, maybe it will serve him well. But that's not what you said you were going to do.
Yep, Kara said, well, he is certainly sitting well in this game.
And she's feeling good that we have 2 items.
So we skipped over the Christian and Nick renewal there, the renewal of the Mason-Dixon Alliance, but they're back together. And Nick shared a little piece of information with Christian. Dan has an idol, which was the setup to Dan announcing that he had 2 idols. So Christian really liked that info. So next up, the Goliaths get together and Angelina makes her pitch. The discussion veers towards Elizabeth, but Angelina tells him, well, she's a minor player. Well, a medium player, she acknowledges when she gets challenged a little bit on that. Plus, she tells him that Elizabeth has no social graces. So that just seemed like an unnecessary thing to add in, but I guess it tells you where her mind's at with regards to jury management at that time. She's saying she doesn't think she's going to be able to manage people well. She's just not the threat that Christian represents, which we had seen in the Next Time on Survivor clip, as Angelina puts forth her master plan.
Yeah, I still thought it was a little pushy. And as she said, my plan. Oh, I mean our plan.
Yeah.
It's like,
If you're saying it out loud like that, you might as well just be straight with it.
Were you surprised that Alec told Christian?
No, because we had seen that in the Next Time on Survivor clip. So that wasn't a surprise.
I don't remember seeing that.
With Alec going to Christian? Yeah.
Well, you know how my memory is.
That's when we get the Tears Shed title for this episode, after they have a quick talk. And yeah, Alec's excited to work with Christian. Another one of those no one suspects we'll be in an alliance moments.
Yeah.
And Alec is ready to turn on his alliance. It's just a matter of when.
And I thought, oh my goodness, Elizabeth, why are you over messing with the chickens when people are sleeping in the morning and making that thing squawk?
You think she really did that? Or did they want to portray her that way?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
They could have just wanted to portray her that way.
Yeah. This woman is irritating.
Could have been afternoon. Who knows?
Yeah.
I imagine they sleep whenever they can.
Yeah.
Catch a nap here and there. Because no, it's not comfortable laying on the bamboo very long. So they would probably sleep better with just, naps all throughout. If they can.
So it's winding down for the evening. They cut back to the flag again with the name meaning stars, and they cut to the beautiful stars there on night 18.
I didn't realize that Alison was necessarily kind of close with Mike, but she seemed to be when she was telling him, yeah, let's vote Goliath strong at least for the first few votes. And then we'll decide.
Elizabeth's eager to share the next morning there that Dan and Kara whispered to each other for 2 hours. And when you got 2 close people like that, it's a threat. So what did you think about the 6, the 3 Davids, 3 Goliaths? Mike, Nick, Alison, and then Nick, Christian, and Gabby coming together.
I was a little bit surprised that Alison, Alec, and Mike were planning to keep Nick and Gabby and maybe Christian in their group from the Davids. So I guess I wasn't 100% sure who they were planning to get out from the Goliaths. It wasn't real clear to me who they were going to turn on in the Goliaths first.
Well, they said they would target 2 Davids initially, and that Elizabeth would be that very first target. So this is another finger pointing there. But yeah, in terms of the Goliaths, I don't know that they said anything definitive in that regard, just that they were going to take them down. They're going to lull them into
feeling secure.
Yeah, secure.
Well, you have to think maybe it's Dan, or even Dan and Kara, because,
Sure.
they will vote together. They have to split them up at some point. Whether they will need the Davids to do that or not, I don't know, but they can't let them go to the end together. You wouldn't want to be caught in the final 3 with them together.
Yep. I think that was part of why they showed it in that particular order, too. I mean, it probably happened a little chronologically that way, but with Elizabeth, going around and sharing with the Davids about how Dan and Kara were so tight, and then you get to see this specialist alliance or special tactics. I forgot what Christian called it,
There
with
were
the
too
3
many
Davids
alliances.
and the 3 Goliaths who were putting together this alliance, this cross-tribal alliance.
Well, Christian is certain about one thing. Alec is ready to make moves in the game. He's proven that.
Yep.
So he sounds like he's trusting him.
The Counter-Goliath Insurgency Alliance. There we go. Okay. And they're going to be spearheading an attack, Christian tells us, at some point.
I guess
Just not sure when.
This episode made me more confused than usual about who's with who, because there were so many talks going on, and I thought, wow, it would be 100 times worse if you were out there.
I think someone else made this point come tribal council, so let's talk about that then, too.
Well, okay. I usually just kind of talk about what comes into my head.
Yep, you have a little trouble
When
with the
it
whole
comes
temporal
into my
alignment thing.
Says who?
It's me. I'm on the receiving end.
I rest my case. Okay. What's next, baby?
So you got Elizabeth talking to Carl and Nick about getting rid of Dan, and they need to pull over some folks. So she says, well, let's try Alec since he worked with us before. So she goes to Alec and pitches the vote Dan out plan.
To try to get Kara to come
which
back.
I was very, very appreciative and excited about since I had Dan going.
Yes.
I just thought it would be so fun if he got knocked out with both his idols at the merge.
I actually did think about it myself.
Well, as much as I was talking about it, it'd be hard for you not to think about it.
No, I was thinking about doing it.
Seriously considering
Choosing
it. I
him.
see. Okay. Well, I went ahead and went that direction.
I did not.
Who did you have?
Angelina.
Angelina to go.
For me, it was between Angelina and Alec in my mind, but I knew Dan was a possibility, so I did consider it. But I just felt like it wasn't going to happen.
So Alec tells us he still needs to play double agent right now, so he wouldn't commit to Elizabeth. He didn't want to be the oddball of the Goliath standing out. Not that he hadn't already done that and already appeared to be the oddball for getting rid of Natalia. So his argument back to Elizabeth didn't seem like it held much water, but in any case, it got him out so he could go have a conversation with Kara and Dan about Elizabeth wanting to get rid of Dan, which Dan was excited about.
I imagine
Why
that
me?
he's very glad he didn't, because Elizabeth might have tried to throw him under the bus as well, along with Angelina.
I like Dan's question, why me? Why not John? Why me? Are you running around telling people you got idols, Dan? You seem to forget this part when you're wondering why someone might target you.
That was...
I like Kara. She's like, you need to get yourself together. You got 2 idols. You're in the majority alliance. Man up a little bit.
But he didn't. He just walked off.
He stormed off. He didn't walk off. He stormed off, yeah.
Well, pay attention, Kara.
Yes.
So, Okay, day 20, the immunity challenge. They have to.
Sorry, I just want to make one point. Again, Dan reiterated that Elizabeth has got to go. So he seems on board with Carl's plan at that point.
Oh, I'm so glad we didn't miss that.
Okay, now go for the immunity there on day 20. So we had most things happening on day 18 and day 20. 3-day cycle this way. What'd you think about this challenge?
I liked it. I thought it's difficult because every time Jeff would talk, I just thought it was going to distract whoever he was talking about.
Part of why he does it.
I know. And I thought I would be very tempted to shut up, Jeff. But if you do that, you're more likely
You're giving in to the being distracted.
That's right. Yeah. So you really do have to try to tune him out and focus.
Yeah.
That would be my luxury item, earplugs.
Yeah, so in terms of how the challenge worked, where you had a metal bar attached to a rope, and then the rope's attached to basically a pendulum, I guess, and you've got to rotate this pendulum around through the metal object that had two hooks, I guess, and then there's a statue, and it's all balancing on a spring, so it's the tendency for it to move. If you nudge it a little bit, it's really big.
Well, and it was okay to hit it as long as you didn't lose the momentum. But
you didn't step off the board you had to stand on, lose the momentum so that it stopped its forward motion, or the statue fell off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fell off.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Close enough.
It fell off of a lot of people.
Didn't fell off, yeah. Fall off. I'm with you.
We're on a roll tonight.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Out first, Mike. Big surprise.
No surprise.
And then Christian. I was a little bit surprised that he didn't. He's done
dexterity.
pretty good.
Dexterity's not.
I know.
This is a very big dexterity kind of thing. It's dexterity and endurance are the elements, which is good. I like that for a merge challenge. So it's not going to let someone with a lot of physicality or someone who's really good at puzzles dominate. So it's a different set of skills. And Probst was clear on pointing that out. This isn't one that you probably practice in your backyard before you came to play Survivor. We designed it with that concept in mind, that it's something new and different that you wouldn't necessarily be ready for.
So what does that say about Carl? He was third out.
No, he didn't have the dexterity
he
either.
Would be more physically fit than he's seemed to be.
Well, again, it's not about physicality. Zed just jumped up.
Jed's walking across me.
Jed?
Thanks. I said Zed. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Mommy appreciates it. Good boy. Okay, and then after Carl, we have Gabby, Kara, Nick, Davie, Angelina, Alec, John. Did you get the feeling that if Jeff hadn't called him out, John would have just kept going? He just stepped back on there.
He seemed to be in the zone. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Just step
which
back
is
on
smart.
and keep going.
Yeah, which is smart.
If
it's
nobody saw that, it didn't happen.
That's right. The tree did not fall if nobody heard it. Yeah.
And after John, Dan went out, and I was cheering for Elizabeth.
What about Dan talking to himself? You're awesome. You're great.
Oh.
And then he fumbled.
Well, I thought it was weird at the time, and you didn't even hear it. So until we watched the second time.
Yep.
But okay, and then no matter how much I cheered for Elizabeth, because I was going to lose a safe point, and so did you. So. But Alison wins out.
Yeah, good job, Alison. And then the other bonus from that challenge was it let the editors come up with a great little clang, clang, bang, bang moment there. It was musical when they were banging into the frame that the statue was sitting on with the pendulum. So
well, all of a sudden,
it worked on multiple levels.
We see Alison move to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
She's, seems to be pulling people together that she wants, and they're listening to her with respect and consideration, and unlike Angelina, they listen and then grumble.
Summarizing the episode or something? What are you doing?
No, just she really seemed to come into the limelight a little more. She's just been almost invisible for weeks. until last week she started stepping up with Gabby, and then this week
the first individual immunity win, and then
not even
got to
that.
see her. Well, that was huge, and I'm trying to keep you from jumping past the part about her being so excited and overwhelmed with the thought of her family watching her win that challenge that she was physically pulsing, Prope said, when he hugged her and she was standing there beside her. So what a great moment for her to be able to share that with her family. I bet they had an awesome viewing party.
I'm sure they did.
Dan tells us after the immunity challenge that this really isn't that hard strategically at all. We stay Goliath strong, and Elizabeth has to go. That's it. Okay, back at camp. Oh, I think I was ahead, because this is where Angelina was talking about Elizabeth being a medium threat with no allies or social graces, and it should be Christian. And she tells us that she's using military tactics, intentionally choosing that language to help pump her alliance up and get them excited about going to war with the Davids.
And it immediately annoyed everyone.
It seemed to, especially Dan, He really wanted Elizabeth to go, so he's not so keen on that. And Dan reminds us that Angelina's husband's in the military, not Angelina.
So the others get together, Dan and John and Alec and Alison, and they start talking about, they really want Elizabeth to go. And so John volunteers to talk to Angelina. I thought, smart move, John. Are you vying for jury votes as well? You want everyone to feel that you listened to them and heard them? Or I thought, I think that was a nice move. And yet Dan was sitting right there, and he just had to
walk all over it. Yeah.
I thought you were going to let John do that. And so she got so upset about, Dan and him talking down to her, blah, blah, that that got lost in the decision to vote with the group, which she did do.
Mm-hmm.
But
and she told him she would. She just wasn't happy about how this went down. Yep. Now she tells us it makes her nervous to be around Dan.
Well, but she's only talking to John and Alison.
Yeah.
So I thought, I think,
was told what to do. We didn't get to have a discussion together.
I think those two are positioning themselves within the group pretty well to have a lot
John
of different
and Allison, so that they can
a lot of different options.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're keeping right now anyway, seem to be keeping a level head.
They're not polarizing people the way Angelina and Dan and Elizabeth are. Yeah. Dan tells us that Angelina needs to grow up, and we cut to Angelina crying, and then we cut to Angelina sharing with Elizabeth that she's sorry, and she respects Elizabeth an awful lot, but Elizabeth is going to have to go.
Well, and Angelina didn't like being told what to do, even though she told the others what to do. So I thought, well, honey, I thought that was a little... I guess she doesn't see herself as doing that, though, as saying. I guess she just sees it as a discussion, but anyway.
Depends on if she needs to take credit for being a master manipulator or not.
I guess so.
Yep, so that definitely set Elizabeth off when Angelina shared that with her, so she goes back to Carl and Gabby and tells them both that Angelina says it's me. And then Gabby makes the suggestion that perhaps Elizabeth should share that Angelina's sharing the Goliath plans with everyone. Yes.
And try to get them to turn the vote on.
So here's another candidate for actual mastermind. Did Gabby do that? Was she the one that's actually cultivating a jury vote in Elizabeth and how she managed her right there?
Possibility.
All right.
Or maybe she's just grasping at any straw to keep numbers.
Again, lashing out emotionally.
Yep. Well,
given what you know at the end of the episode about how it turns out, you got to go back and look at that moment and say, wait a second, did Gabby just do that?
Well, moving on to tribal council. Is there anything else before tribal?
No.
Okay, moving on into tribal. The only thing I had a problem with Gabby is why not just stay quiet and under the radar about it and let Elizabeth throw Angelina under the bus. She had nothing to lose letting Elizabeth do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it could hurt her in the game that she participated as much in that kind of attack So that's just my opinion.
All right, when Probst kicks off tribal council, he turns to Alison and said, "How are you managing the complexity of all of these choices?" A similar problem that you were discussing having as you were trying to figure out your picks for this episode. The survivors went through in that moment themselves. Alison tells us it was an exponentially complex problem, to which Christian replies that it was actually a factorial. There were 144 different combinations that you had to consider when you were weighing all the different potential alliance combinations there.
And then John had to poke a little fun.
That was good. I like what John did. Yeah, Dan said it. He just said it quiet. He said factorial, too. That was brilliant. Oh, it was a little reminder for Christian, too.
Well, I guess, all in all, I think Angelina handled the situation pretty well. She kept her head. She didn't get hugely emotional. She did everything. I still think she maintained
Several
control.
Women were teared up, crying, and then yelling at different points in the tribal council. So I'm not sure she did.
For being attacked, she got her points across that I am with the tribe. I no longer have any problem voting for Elizabeth, and I'm going to vote for Elizabeth with the rest of the tribe, just like I intended to all along. So at least she was very clear about where she was. And I don't know, the whole thing with Alison throwing it out there about her courting the jury already, I thought, ooh, did you just kind of, that was almost
I think she sucker punched Angelina.
A compliment and a stab in the back at the same time.
Yeah, it was a sucker punch.
Like,
that was more brutal than what Elizabeth was doing.
I liked it.
When Alison called her out for courting the jury vote. Because really what it did was it took that courting away. Because Elizabeth could have ended up feeling, and she still may, she could have ended up feeling bad about what she did to Angelina. And she knew she was doing it, and she knew she was betraying her.
No, I think she does. But
I think Alison potentially helped Elizabeth alleviate any bad feelings she might have about what she did, and then, in response, potentially offer Angelina a vote.
I think she...
That was very meta of Alison.
I think she said that she hated doing that to Angelina, but she was really pushing for a David win. And she was hoping that would make a difference. Even if it didn't keep her from going, that it would make a difference who won.
Yeah, Gabby picked up on what Alison was doing, too, and she said, oh, yeah, she's courting jury votes. And then the other Goliaths took that opportunity to really call Angelina out for that also.
Okay, but what was all the whispering?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery at this point.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if they had something else going, and they all said, no, let's just... Even Alec went over and talked to Dan, John's talking to Alison, John's talking to Christian.
Well, I guess to
Gabby's.
Your point, essentially what they're doing is making sure they're checking in with everyone and making sure they're still good with
Gabby.
how things are going, in spite of, with Angelina being highlighted like that.
Well, I guess at some point, Gabby must have, because she whispered to Carl, so she must have said, we're still voting Elizabeth, or whatever. Because we knew Carl would, no problem. He seemed very happy to hear that, it was her. So, it's no problem for him or Davie, I assume. But I really would like to know a little bit about what all those whispers were about.
So we had those extra videos where we're talking about who's throwing the most shade. They definitely threw a lot of shade on Angelina this week. Everyone piled on, regardless of how they were planning to vote. They were giving Angelina a serious wake-up call, and you could tell she was worried.
Well, and
as she
Alec,
should be.
Both of them got highlighted as far as they couldn't completely be trusted. Alec, not at tribal council, but earlier, because he turned on Natalia. So both Alec and Angelina were Goliaths that got a little shade cast on them.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just don't think it's anywhere near on the same level between the two of them.
Okay. I think
It's not
you're
that
wrong.
you're technically wrong, but I didn't think those
I'm
were
not
even
technically
remotely equal at all or equivalent.
Oh, Mr. Zed found a bed on Daddy's arms. Good boy.
He's happy as long as I'm holding him.
Okay.
All right, so the votes come in, and I admit to being a bit surprised it was unanimous. Elizabeth's out. Only one Angelina vote came from Elizabeth.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect Gabby, even though they all probably knew she's going, but I just was kind of surprised Gabby voted for her too.
Yeah, so you didn't expect it. So that's why you got to wonder if Gabby wasn't working.
Courting Elizabeth's vote.
Yeah.
The long run.
And helping Elizabeth sabotage herself at the same time. Because they had already settled on an Elizabeth vote even before she had that moment with Elizabeth with their new 6-person alliance, 6 Goliaths, 6 Davids. So.
Yeah, but we know Gabby gets a little paranoid.
Okay, that's being polite. Yeah. She's an emotional
wouldn't I be polite?
yo-yo. Yeah.
So, anyway, I thought it was a fabulous episode.
Yeah,
and I
really good
enjoyed all
merge
the
episode.
up and down, and I don't know who's talking to who and who's really with who and what they plan in the future. And I'm still uncertain to, who the real alliances are within the Goliath, the final. Because I really do think it could go a lot of different ways and even bring some of those Davids in.
Yeah, it is
So.
exciting. There's lots of potential. There's nothing that appears to be no minority alliance overwhelmed kind of scenario. Although a David did go, but when you step back and look at all the different elements of what we got that were revealed here, what we got to see, yeah, there's a lot going on. So the potential for going in different directions is very great.
Well, and they have the clear numbers now. So if they chose to take a Goliath next week, they could and still have the numbers.
Yeah, they said the plan was to take take two Davids, and then they would look at other options. So.
Well, that depends on who upsets them.
Elizabeth tells
majority.
Probst that she came in to have fun and to be herself, and she succeeded.
She did that.
Yeah. And then on her way out, she says, "Love you guys, really do." To which Angelina replies, "You have a funny way of showing it." Which, yep, I think that was appropriate.
And Elizabeth is out.
First on jury, which if you had Elizabeth going, that meant you got an extra point. So we have a first on jury bonus in JSFL. So
Yes, we do.
we'll do the JSFL update in just a minute here, but something to be aware of. And I guess another thing is that Probst made it clear that whoever got voted out was going to be the first on the jury. I don't think I've ever heard him clearly say that before that person was voted out. It's always a little bit of a mystery. And
Yeah, because I kept thinking, well, why are you so certain she's going to be? And then he confirms it that, okay, yeah, whoever goes home is going to be first on jury. So
when he went back to question Alison about what she meant about courting a jury vote, he actually said, yeah, that's true. Whoever gets voted out tonight's going to be on the jury.
And that's very unusual. They don't usually have.
He just circled back and said exactly what I said.
Well,
Do you realize that? No, you don't realize it. But and you also don't care.
And I don't care. And
Okay.
I still think it's really
Unusual.
and interesting and odd because they don't
about
typically
that?
do that.
No.
The first
I heard that
person
somewhere.
doesn't make the jury, which usually makes it a much easier vote because they're not going to be on the jury anyway.
Yeah, so we're looking at 10 jury members and for a potential final 3, right?
Yeah.
I think they're just more comfortable now that they've got a clear way of dealing with ties.
Yeah, that was your conclusion is
Yeah.
that, hey, so what if we have another tie? No problem.
So they don't care if they've
It's
got an
exciting last time. We'll just
even
do it
number of
again.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they worried about that before, but now that there's been a precedent set, we're good to go.
Yeah. Next time on Survivor, when trust dissolves, and Alec tells us that Angelina is a slime ball as an example of dissolving trust. Not that neither one of them trusted each other to begin with, but okay.
And Angelina says they manipulated everything. She said.
And Mike tells Christian that Gabby's not taking their alliance seriously. And then they cut to Christian in a confessional saying, that's a weird thing to say. I'm not sure those are related, so
Yeah, I wasn't either.
we won't know for sure until the next episode.
We'll see if the bonds are broken or not.
Probst tells us that no one is safe. And then John says, we may have to vote out Brochacho. We may have a Brochacho blindside.
Yeah, but they said, should we take him out next?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
of course, that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Because the Brochachos are all guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, or
It's
it could
the
be
bro
the
reference.
Brochachos deciding who goes out. You don't know what it really.
Yeah, to say
refers to.
hashtag Brochacho blindside the way John did, it could actually go both ways.
Yeah.
They cut to Christian. With the editing, visually, their suggestion that Christian, once again, may be a target. But it could also be the Brochacho Alliance
Including
deciding
Christian
Yeah.
deciding who to take out.
who to blindside.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Okay. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was exciting, even though I think that's the first safe point I've lost this season.
Yes,
But-
that one hurt.
Yeah.
To not only miss out on 2 points for the vote out, but we both had Elizabeth safe. So, we lost that too. So, out of 6, we get to take away
And you know what?
3.
It was fun, so I don't care.
Okay.
I would have rather not lost the safe point at least, but
Sure.
I still had fun. So
How about a
that's
JSFL update?
most important. I can do that. There were 12. There are 12 people tied for first now.
Wow. So it went from 2 to 12, huh?
Yeah, and I don't think those two are in there.
So a big turnover
So
at
anyway,
first.
yeah.
Okay.
There were 9 people who lost their USB 24.
Mm-hmm.
There were 78 of us who lost a safe point, and there were 45 people who earned the 2 points.
Nice. Good job. Good on you for making
Yeah,
that first on jury bonus.
All right, for the side challengers, with 30 points, we have Jay Kindred, still in the lead. With 29, Drew
Oh, good job, Drew.
moved up. 28, Cold Mike. 27, James and Shannon, Jonathan
Wow,
Parker,
they are
and
climbing.
Stacy.
Yeah, they are just zooming up the charts,
That's
aren't they?
right. Good job.
Yeah.
With 26, Jeremiah, and with 25 points, we have Brandon, Iron Dave, and Rodney.
All right. So it's just a lot of turnover in the different positions this
Yeah,
week.
the only people that got the vote out correct in the side challenge were Drew and James and Shannon.
Nice. Good job,
So,
guys.
yeah. They
It was
didn't
a
get
good time to
there.
get 6 points.
That's right. So, and you are in a better position now from not getting your picks in the first week.
So that brings us to an interesting moment in JSFL, right?
Yes, it does.
What can you tell us about what happens now?
This is your only chance this week before the deadline on Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time. You have the opportunity to change your USB. If your USB 24 is still in the game, you can keep them or you can change to someone else, but you would only have a possible 10-point bonus. But if you don't like if you have Dan and you don't think Dan can win, you can choose whether to let him go and choose someone else, John or whoever, and but you'd only get 10 points if that person wins. So I usually stay with my 24 point if they're
It's called
still
the
in the
sunk
game.
cost
but
bias. It
I
is
don't
very hard to
know.
let go of someone you've invested in.
I'm sure Rhonda would say, "Oh, shut up, Joanne, because you're not gonna get rid of Dan." But I might. You never know. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a USB in the game, this is your opportunity
Pick
to
another.
select
You get a
another
do-over.
for 5-point possible bonus.
Yeah.
But make sure you click on the submit button.
Yep, just like when you're choosing the original one, you got to make sure to click submit for it. The
Submit.
change to take place. Here's a caveat, something you got to watch out for. Say you're like me, you got John, but all of a sudden you're just flooded with doubts because this cast is quite excellent. And there's potential for a lot of people to end up winning. So you're ready to switch away from your USB 24, at least you think you are, and you make that decision and you click. Guess what? There's no going back. It's a trap door. There's no way to retrieve John for those 24 points in that scenario. You've made your choice.
Yep.
Now you're moving on. So be careful. Think that through before you click the submit button.
You can go back to John, but only for a possible 10 points.
Yep.
Once you click off
If you give up on your USB 24, there's a penalty to pay. So make sure you're clear on your decision.
Very certain before you do it.
Anything else you'd like to say?
I don't believe so. That was the biggie because, that's a shock if you try to go back and you don't get those points. But who do you think's going to go next? Have any ideas or?
Well, you still got Christian in the hot seat. Angelina's potentially in the hot seat now. Alec seems okay, but then people are wondering about him, and the whole flip-flopper thing can cause people to give up on you pretty quick if that starts running through your alliances.
But if they're going to stick with the David, why wouldn't they go?
Christian is still the biggest threat, and that's what they were
threat.
selling with the edit on the next time on Survivor. Yeah.
But if they're wanting to keep Christian, why not go to Carl or Davie?
Sure.
I would think Davie would be a big threat. Now, we know he has an idol.
No one's talking about Nick. Yeah.
And Nick doesn't believe anybody found the idol over there, so he can't tell anyone that Davie has an idol because he doesn't
And the only
know.
other person that Lyrsa told was Elizabeth, and now she's gone.
That's right.
She
Well,
never
that we
believed
know
her.
of anyway.
Yeah.
We don't even know if Carl knows Davie has an idol or if Davie knows Carl has the nullifier.
Well, I'm pretty sure they would show you if they did. They're pretty good about showing you. So you gotta be reasonably confident that they have not and don't.
But yeah, they did seem to be focusing on Christian, but I'm hoping that the brochachos can save him.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, Dan appeared to turn the tables on Angelina, but there was a lot of other people working towards that end too.
Now, Alison had wanted to work with Christian as well, so she might want to protect him too, to be a shield for her, because she's good in the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as she has Christian as a shield in front of her, because at the very end, they could monopolize the puzzle solving.
Right.
And so I thought, well, she might want to keep him around too. So I'm kind of not thinking Christian will go. But I don't know who else, which other David. They could very well go after Gabby. I mean, I don't know exactly why they would, because she doesn't have any power. So unless she just annoys them, I would think they would go after maybe David.
Besides, you just got to drop a little hint that they're thinking about Gabby, and she'll have an emotional breakdown, self-sabotage. She'll be back in Gabby Gulch at light speed.
And they seem to like Nick, so that makes me think they would keep him around, but he would actually be a decent choice to take out. But I would think they would go after Davie more, because we haven't seen that Davie and Carl are making an effort to make alliances as much. We didn't see it. Doesn't mean they didn't do it, but they didn't
Carl
show
was pretty
us.
social. He was having a lot of moments after his beers.
Don't know if you could call that social. He was just,
Social?
running down Elizabeth.
That's one of his favorite topics. I don't know what he'll talk about now.
Yeah, but how would you trust anyone like that not to tell all your stuff and not to talk too much? I wouldn't.
Okay. Well, it was a really good merge episode. At least that's what we thought. We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts about that. So we've done the recap. You got the broad strokes here. Now we're going to turn it over to you for the listener feedback show on Saturday. The voicemail number 206-350-1547. Toll free 844-643-8737. You can always record your own and send it in to our email at joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. Or you can write it up and we'll read it into the show for you. Whether you write it or you record it or call it in, keep it in that 3-minute range. It takes me about double time to edit audio. So when folks send in 6 minutes, you're costing me about 12 to get it cut down into the range so we can fit everybody in. We've been having some fantastic listener feedback shows, great discussions, fun observations, things that Joanna or I didn't point out when we were doing the recap, and some other insights to look forward to. Y'all bring something different from your perspective, from your particular walk of life, and we look forward to that and really enjoy it. And we've had a lot of new folks this season too, so
That's true.
Great for new voices coming in, whether that's a written voice or a recorded voice. We like them all. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. Get it in noon Pacific time on Saturday, and we'll take some more time to talk about the merge episode then.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.